Speculated news on the Eagles adding a wide receiver, adding another wide receiver to camp, or trading for one, or whatever. This is all speculation. This has been some stuff that's been going on the last few months when it comes to the receiver position going forward. I want to go over, obviously, what we have in the building right now. Does it actually make sense to add another receiver before the season starts? It's a very good question, because obviously wide receiver 3 has been one of the weakest spots we've had the last few years, and I kind of want to go over that. Let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Today, some news for the Philadelphia Eagles as usual. Okay, when we look at this roster, we always say to ourselves, Howie Roseman's going to make a couple moves, and wide receiver has been speculated the past few months. Obviously, Quez Watkins goes to the Steelers. Unfortunately, Olamide Zaccheaus really didn't have enough of an opportunity. Every position was just not utilized the correct way last year. And wide receiver 3, unfortunately, has just been, the redhead stepchild of the offense. I mean, just barely really used at times. I mean, Quez Watkins would look good sometimes, would look really bad, but he's just not a player you can really depend on for those big moments. And if you know with Kellen Moore's offense, he does not waste any position. Loves his tight ends, loves his offensive line, loves his wide receivers, and will use 1, 2, and 3. Doesn't matter who it is. And obviously, you're getting these running backs into the passing game now, which is going to really help this passing game very much. Obviously, with the check downs, which we didn't do enough of last year, where, you want to get those big yards underneath, make guys miss with really good skill set type players. Wide receivers interesting because, like I said, the 22 Super Bowl is the perfect example. What were the two weaknesses in the offense going to that Super Bowl, or really after that Super Bowl? It was wide receiver 3. And it was running back. And obviously, you have upgraded the running back position, paying Saquon Barkley and having, a few 1,000-yard seasons with the Giants. He's probably going to look really good behind this Eagles offensive line, and can't wait for it. And then as a wide receiver 3, I just felt like we just haven't been consistent at that position. We haven't really upgraded there. So there was some news that's been flying around, that speculation. Like I said, speculation, nothing official. But, there was all this rumor about Hunter Renfrow. Where is he going to go? And the Eagles might have had interest, but apparently the Eagles have had no interest in him whatsoever. But the Eagles, apparently, the last few months have been thinking about adding another receiver to this group. Whether it's trading for one or something like that, I don't know. Because to be honest with you, take advantage of what you have in the building. You're already paying Devontae Smith. You're paying A.J. Brown a big contract. So at this point, in my opinion, it's really not that hard to find a wide receiver 3. I don't think it really is. I think they just use what they've been using the last few years. Olamide Zaccheaus was a guy I really thought they never really gave a big chance to. Made a few plays for us, but, great blocker downfield. But Zaccheaus I think he could have been better than Quez. I think with more opportunity, he would have been a lot better. But unfortunately, he's not back with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this group is a really interesting group going into camp because, like I said, you have a guaranteed 3 spots right now, with Britton Covey taking that third, well, not the third spot, but Britton Covey taking a wide receiver spot on top of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Britton Covey might be in competition for the punt return game this year. Obviously, kickoff returns going to be a lot, obviously the rules have changed for kickoff return, but for punt return, I think Britton Covey is just, he was thrown to the fire as an undrafted free agent, a guy from Utah that played almost every position offensively in Utah, but at the same time was like the elite special teamer in Utah, and played all over the place, and can fit in any crevice, got really good vision, and I think Britton Covey has just gotten so much better, and I think our special teams have been one of the bright lights to our season last year, as much as we had that downfall at the end of the year, because Will Shipley and Isaiah Rodgers and some of these other guys, a lot of, Anaya Smith, a lot of guys are trying out for punt return and kick return. So Covey might have some opportunity there for some competition, but the Eagles really tried to use Britton Covey as a gadget receiver at the end of last year. Like, they really tried, but it just didn't work. this offense was just too predictable because you didn't adjust to how defenses adjusted to your offense. And that was the biggest problem. Never had a dominating game offensively. And Britton Covey, I feel like, has a good, I don't say he's going to be a full-time wide receiver 3, okay? I don't think that, but as a gadget wide receiver on third down or something like that, use him on pre-snap motion, to keep the defense on their heels a little bit. I think Britton Covey should be more involved in this offense. I don't see why it'd be a big problem. He's becoming a fan favorite, one of my favorite players on this team because I feel like he could do so much more. But this is why the coaching staff has got to get their shit together. And can we have more Can we have coaches in here more than a year? I would appreciate it so much. And if the coordinators have this much control, then hopefully Britton Covey might actually have an opportunity to maybe get in some plays this year. Still waiting on a punt return touchdown from him, but he's had some very good games, and he was I think he was like a top 3 punt returner last year. No joke, and it's well deserved. So excited for Britton Covey because Britton Covey is probably going to have that roster spot. How many receivers are the Eagles going to keep? We don't know. I think going into training camp in general, by the end of everything, when we get to the regular season, I think Ainias Smith is going to be your wide receiver 3. He's the open field killer. Okay, could play outside, but mostly could play inside. And I feel like with his hands and catching in traffic, and he's tough. He plays really tough. And you watch the way he catches in traffic. Like, he's not afraid of catching the ball and taking a hit. And it's happened a million times. And I think Ainias Smith, he was a Red Star player for the Philadelphia Eagles, that exemplifies himself on work ethic and toughness, and feels like he could be a big face for this franchise. I honestly, he was dealing with an injury this past offseason, so he missed all of OTAs. And I think he only made like the last day of Eagles minicamp, which was only 3 days. The last day, it's the only day he made. So Ainias Smith, I feel like, because the full pad, we're not in full pads yet, and they let him practice like one time the last day of minicamp. Once we get to training camp, he should be fully healed, fully healthy, and I can't wait to see what Ainias Smith does. I feel like Ainias Smith, I think at 5'9", what was he, like 190 pounds, something like that? I forgot what he is, but I feel like he's the perfect size, speed, catch radius, catch ability, pinpoint the ball in the air, throw to him, his movement after catching the ball in an open space. That's where Ainias Smith is really going to play so well. There's going to be so much attention on the field. Ainias Smith might not be accounted for. And it's going to make some big plays this year. So that's what I have right now. And if this does change, then that's fine. May the best man win. But I think Ainias Smith is gonna get that job, and I think he's gonna really. This might be the best slot receiver we're gonna have in years. No joke. That number 3 spot has got to be solidified and ready to go. You have Johnny Wilson, it's been working out with Jalen Hurts, with all the receivers. Johnny Wilson, he has had some troubles with some drops in college, but man, at 6'7", 2'4", I mean, just ridiculous. Ridiculous size. The last guy we had at a size like him was like Tyree Jackson at tight end, but the guy just couldn't stay healthy. A guy at 6'7" and has that deep, if he actually has a deep threat ability, shit, I'll be really happy. He was shining in camp a little bit here and there. Like I said, no full pads, but Johnny Wilson, man, I think is still going to be used this year regardless. I think a multitude of receivers are going to be used in certain situations. I think Johnny Wilson's going to be used a lot for red zone, and as a blocker, he's very good at blocking as well. So, in red zone, I feel like he's going to be used tremendously, and because he'll have mismatches nonstop, but got to see more. Got to see him in full pads, see what he does in joint practices and preseason. I think this is one of the most exciting offseasons the Eagles have ever had. Johnny Wilson's got the size. Johnny Wilson's got the athletic ability. And you know what? Just got to clean up the drops. But I feel like Johnny Wilson could be something. I think by 25 next year, he'll turn into a better player. This year, I feel like he will be used situationally and has a big chance of making this roster, which I think he will. And we'll see how he does. So I'm always excited for some Johnny Wilson, no doubt. And obviously, John Ross has been one of the biggest surprise names. Devontae Parker retired. They brought in John Ross. And John Ross hasn't played since 21, but looking at how he's moving on the field when it comes to these little wide receiver activities that they're doing, I think John Ross is he looks like he's still fast. No joke. I mean, 9th overall pick in 2017. And, sometimes when you're a top 10 pick and you just start to struggle, it gets in your head. And I think that's what's happened, since 2017, those few years, going from obviously the Bengals over now, and then try to play with the Giants. But he was hurt the whole entire year, so really couldn't do much. I think he ended up getting hurt with the New York Giants. Played in KC in 21, and just did absolutely nothing. So John Ross is coming with a really good story, that he shouldn't have retired, that, his son is the reason why he went back into football. He coaches like a high school team or something like that back home. John Ross is exciting for me. I think could be another situational wide receiver for the Eagles, but if this guy can come back to what he should be and, he can get himself right, this is a good opportunity for these receivers because they know how many weapons are on the field. They know how many weapons are at wide receiver. They don't have weapons at tight end. I mean, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, and they know the weapons that are around that they could make themselves look even better in this offense. So I'm really rooting for John Ross. Just imagine John Ross actually comes out of retirement, signs with the Eagles, and just becomes a huge standout, and then becomes a regular season standout. It would be the best story ever told, in my opinion. And I'm always rooting for guys like this. And he's 27, 28 years old, but I think the guy, from how he looks on the field, he still looks like he's in a lot of good shape. And it still got that speed. So can't wait to see what it looks like in full pads and obviously joint practices and all that great stuff. And obviously Paris Campbell's one of your guys here. It's Paris Campbell's still relatively young. And at this point, this is a guy that Nick Sirianni knows really well. The Eagles have done their homework on him. Now, this was the guy that they were supposed to draft over J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. It was between J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and it was between Paris Campbell. Now, he played for the Giants, last year, the year before last year. Didn't do anything. I mean, who's really producing with the Giants? And then really before that, I think he had like over 600 yards with the Colts. But he's a pure slot guy. But what I really like about this, they brought in a lot of speed to this receiver room. Not only for wide receiver, but for special teams, because some of these receivers will get their shot at special teams as well and do some good things there. But Paris Campbell, like I said, I think it's another guy could make the roster. Stay healthy and do his thing, and we'll see how it goes. But Paris Campbell could be your safety blanket inside and can be very reliable because he's played the position a million times, and all that great stuff. So feel really good about it. So really, at the end of the day, guys, I feel like with the rumors of the Eagles going after another receiver, I think this is something that it might not even be true. It might just be BS at the end of the day because you go out and trade for somebody, you're not paying them. You're not just going to give up a draft pick. You have 9 draft picks next year. You're not giving up a draft pick to go get a guy, bring him in just to rent him for the year and just let him walk and waste a draft pick. It's just not going to happen. I feel like if the Eagles like what they have in the room, they're going to like what they have in the room. Unless there's like 3-4 injuries to wide receiver, then I can understand they want to go out and get somebody else. Free agent market, not much there. But trading, I guess, but you're not paying 3 receivers. You're not doing that. You're going to get somebody that is a mid-tier receiver that is going to be a nice role player for your offense that could, like I said, I think Ainias Smith, I think Johnny Wilson, John Ross, Britton Covey, I think guys like that, I feel like I feel like they're going to make some noise. I really do. I don't think they go down to the down to the road of trading for somebody and seriously, you just paid 2 receivers. You just made Smitty long term. You just made AJ Brown long term as a top 5 highest paid receiver. So at this point, all we need is somebody that is better than Quez Watkins, that is more reliable. And that you could give him the reins and God forbid, what if you have an injury with AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, and you have to miss a couple games? I think Ainias Smith can play on the outside. You know what I mean? John Ross might step in. You know what I mean? Johnny Wilson could step in on the on the inside. So you never know what could happen. But you have to think about that too, because sometimes these guys get injured as well. Like, who can you rely on? And I think we're going to find that guy this year at wide receiver 3. And I'm telling you, like, Kellen Moore has all these weapons that he can use them on certain downs, certain plays, specifically on pre-snap motions. There's so many different things that Kellen Moore could do. I mean, he has got to be in. This is going to be the best roster he's ever coached, especially at wide receiver. These are the best receivers he's ever been around his whole career. So I think that's really interesting going forward. But so let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the Eagles are still going after a receiver? Do you think they're still trying to get somebody else in the building? Do you think it's a wait and see approach to it? Do you think it's all BS? You guys let me know in the comment section below. If you guys haven't checked out the Philly Shakedown podcast merch, definitely check it out. New to the merch, finally. You guys have asked for it. We have the sleeveless tees. Men and women tank tops as well. We have youth t-shirts, ladies t-shirts. So all of the sleeveless t-shirts are in the store right now. So definitely check that out. We have a big reveal of merch coming really soon. We're very, very passionate and very excited about what we're about to release to you guys once training camp starts. And I think you guys are going to love it very much. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follows. Peace out, guys. Peace.